This is Justin Amazon on Friday, April 27th, 2018, and we had earnings. So we're looking at the pre-market, the close yesterday with earnings, and the pre-market today just skyrocketing here. I mean, our old highs, so I got the daily kind of set up ready to look at this. Our previous high was 1617.54, and that was up here, and we're actually gapping up. 1664.81 is the new high pre-market. So, I mean, that's not even on the screen right in here. Anyway, what we're set up with is some selling, a very nice reversal candle, Morningstar reversal, bullish retest gap, and now another bullish retest gap above, clearing every resistance, clearing every bearish candle. Anybody who's shorted is trapped. They're losing money. They should have cashed out down here if they were trying to get to the 100 simple moving average. They didn't get there. All these things trapping bears. I mean, this candle and then this candle were signals to, okay, maybe not be so directional with your trade to the downside. But anyway, we're gapping up. And in the 5 minutes, phenomenal. It's you have this huge candle here, and I don't know if this kind of wick is real or not, but you establish this range with a low around 1607, 1606, somewhere in here, throughout the pre-market or the post-market yesterday, and then the pre-market this morning. It starts out around that level, and then you kind of establish this high, with these wicks a little bit, but come down and kind of establish again. Maybe this 1630 price, and then that's following suit through the morning until it actually breaks out from there. And it looked like earlier in the morning it was going to open around this price. They could just keep going sideways and be range bound for a little bit, but then it has this massive rally pre-market and with decent volume on pre-market. Tens of thousands of shares being traded. And you get up to this point and you put in a evening star reversal and you're coming back down, and it looks like, great, we're actually coming right back down into this old resistance, retesting as new support. And that's where we open, and our open is a selling candle. Takes all that out, we come right down into the lows, not the 1607, but comes into the 1617, the lows here, kind of the secondary support, resistance here, retest as support, support. Okay, are we going to hold this level? Didn't hold this one. Clearly it opened, did not bounce here. Are we going to hold this one? And if we don't hold this one, I mean, our next move down, this was the previous high. This, 1617 is the previous high. That's why that's a viable level. And we reestablished that here, continued it here. You've got these levels. It's like, okay, it's in play. It held pre-market, post-market. It held. Is it going to hold here? If not, probably going to pull back some more as a retest of the previous couple candles here. At least the retest from yesterday could come back down even to 15, what do we have, 1578 in here? Could easily come that far and then bounce. So, nothing's out of the question here. It would have been great to be able to play this during the market with options. A reversal like this at an all-time high, get in below the low of these two candles, and this candle here, that's your S curve that was a fake out. People thinking, oh, it's going to continue, buy here because it came back, it paused. But it needs to move higher, and right here, it needs to just take out that bullish candle and drop and a stop up here, and then you're just trailing your stop. And as the market opens, either you're continue to trail your stop, or you get out. Back down here is a good level to get out. From the pre-market move bearish. That's you could play it. Had that been during the day, had this waited to happen until the market opened, I think a lot of more people would have been buying, and it would have pushed up to this point. Do we come up and pause and reverse? And this is a great reversal pattern that is playing out. So we're reversing. This is a V top. It's reversing. We're open 5 minutes of the day. We've got tons of bearishness. Everybody who bought is getting out. All-time high. Bullish retest candle. Oh, next candle is indecisive. Maybe we're gonna hold this. All right, let's set it up. I'm gonna go bullish above it, stop below. I'm gonna go bearish below it, stop above. That simple on that candle. What's it gonna do? Now it's bullish retest. I want it to go higher, but if it goes lower, I've got a target down here. That works too. So this candle, the range on this candle is $11. Make your risk maybe 15, just to be a little bit conservative, or make it 12 if you want to be not so conservative and set it up. And it starts to break down. And inside candle, okay, now it's breaking down even more. Inside candle doesn't quite get down to our 1578. And I'm sure some folks who are doing this were disappointed if that was their target, didn't get out here. Now it's way back up here. You're at break even if you get out now. This looks like a Morningstar reversal above a support, old resistance, new support, any of that. And okay, now we're gonna roll over again, right? No, it just came back up, came right to this resistance here from this indecision candle, came down, has this indecisive 2-candle pattern, losing all of our volume, and it starts to roll over a little bit more. Okay, now we've come down, and the low here is 1578.11. Probably people are getting out right here. If that's, if they had a line like this. And I don't even remember where this line came from. We can go take a look and see, but I don't remember where it came from. It's been a while since we were up at this level. Pushes through that. Okay, now you got some reversing. These two lows are 12 cents away from each other. And they're similar looking candles. So it's tweezer-ish. They're almost, 12 cents on this price stock is, is a tweezer bottom. Could reverse. This could be it. Took out the low here. So if you're ignoring the line, sometimes you got to do this. Okay. I opened bearish, indecision, took that out. I had a nice bullish candle here. Nothing further happened. I think, 1 reason, 2 reason, 3 reason. We're still bearish. Made a lower low in the day. Another reason. I really need this, this to reverse, get above this high, pull back, hold above this low for that to be a real reversal. And that starts to look like, get in on the right shoulder of an inverted head and shoulder. Otherwise, if you got a plan that says, okay, take a tweezer bottom with a trigger, a 5-minute close above the high and a stop below the low. Whatever your setup is, there's ways to trade this that build in your plan. All right, so looks like we're reversing right here. Maybe you're in. Okay, then it starts to pull back a little bit more. And this candle is, it's got some wicks in there. So I was checking the price to see if it was Hermosa, a small one, but okay. So somewhat of an inside candle. Now we're making a little bit of a double bottom. That still works. That's not, the strong move I wanted out of a tweezer bottom. Okay, now we've put in a double bottom. We're starting to go higher. We're retesting the neckline within this candle. I want to see this move higher, and it does. Okay, comes back up here. What's going on here? We have those indecision candles here, so that could pause here, could go sideways a little bit more. Really wanted to get above this high really soon. So if I'm in, I'm moving my stop from here probably up to here because I want to lock in some gain or take away some of the opportunity to lose and be able to move my stop up a little bit higher here next. Nice small candles, starts to get into the exponential, and now it's looking like it's going to roll over. I'm not at a higher high. I've either got my stop here now, maybe here. If I'm too tight, I may have just gotten stopped out, but I'm trying to lock in a break even or slightly above, getting in, here, looking for a move up to that level. I'm getting some small candles in here, right at 1600. Nice round number to go short from. The high on that bearish candle is actually 1600 on the dot. So it's nice. It's easy to look for nice round numbers. You can look for nice round numbers on your strikes for options. You can look at nice round numbers for how you calculate your risk to reward. Okay, if I'm triggered in here at 1590 and a stop at 1600, or shift it up by $1, so 1591 by 1601, that's really easy to calculate. That's $10. You can easily figure out what your risk is going to be on a $10 range with shares or with options. It's just a nice round number to work with. So this starts to look like a bit of a reversal. We've actually taken out the low of these 3 candles, some consolidation here. And let's see what happens. All right, pull back a little bit more. We're still bearish, but this is looking like, okay, I didn't make a higher high. I made a lower high still. How far is this going to come down? Am I going to make a new lower low? Am I going to hold this low? Is it going to be a similar price, 1575? Is it going to come down to that and make a much larger double bottom and then continue? And it's just a matter of every time just evaluating the candles. Just trying to get zoomed in a little. Oops. No, don't do that. I'm going to get these candles looking a little bigger. There we go. That makes a little more sense. Having just today's range on here. We know we got our levels. Actually, I think I took out. Yeah. Keep our line in there. Sorry. I didn't mean to leave that off. But it is good to take your lines off sometimes. Just see, okay, is it doing something different than what my line says? Because my line is, something from a while ago. Is that still relevant? So now, if I was in here, if I got in right here, this retest on this candle is my retest of that neckline. This is a little bit of a longer term retest. Same range. You're right there, right above these 2 candles here on this neckline. You're right there. That's pretty much the low of this candle. Came back here. This is a nice wave pattern here. Nice little pullback. Now what are we going to do? Are we going to bounce? Are we going to take out this high? Because if we take out this high, it's not the same strength of taking out this high and then a pullback to buy, but it's still movement a little bit higher. So you start looking for this to be a target, this to be a target. You're looking for an aggressive exit because this has been so bearish. I've only really retraced maybe 38% of this, something like that. Probably not 50% yet. And so now we have a bearish engulfing candle. I'm seeing this being like high here, lower high, a low, higher low, higher low. I'm seeing a bit of a triangle forming here. And I guess we'll take another candle and see what happens. Okay, still forming that triangle. Okay, this looks like it's starting to break down. Taking out some lows, just like this took out some lows. But now this angle is broken here. This one's still intact. This angle is broken here. I'm actually breaking down through that. And so right here, with these candles, I can set up a trade to get in, below the low of these, or wait till this, get in here, that it's breaking down with a stop here or here, and take that down to 1578. And it starts to move that way, and I think it gets there, 1578.42. Not quite as low as this one, or this one, 1578.11. But a nice indecision high wave candle right there on the line. We actually did have a squeeze form, 2 squeezes so far this day. Squeeze here, and then it actually reversed from that level, even though it had the bullish momentum. And this one, this squeeze candle actually formed here, continued to break down a little bit, and now it looks like it's bouncing. So the other thing that seems relevant is the 21 exponential seems relevant. Bounced off of here, came right through it, didn't even pause, and came into the open, and just a ton of selling. Came back up, retested to it, roll over, retest to it, roll over, retest to it. And if the 21 holds, we should see a rollover and continue further down into the 1578 price, and maybe even further. And looks like we're going to hold it here below noon bearish, and then we get above it. Now we got above it here, stayed above it here. So it's really a question of, okay, is this the retest of this triangle? You know, we're still maintaining, now you extend this line, you're still maintaining this lower high, but you have a much lower angle on your higher low. This is still higher low, not this one. This one's more conservative. So this one looks a little bit more similar to the angle on this one here. Now you get some indecision on another triangle. This could really go either way. And it breaks down bearish. Waiting for something to happen. I want to see it get down to 1578, but I don't know if it's going to do it. So if you're playing this, if you got in on that candle bearish, because the lower highs are intact, comes back down. Now again, I got this lower angle. I'm breaking that down here. I can easily move my stop from here down to here. A little bit of range, couple bucks. If I'm in up here, then I should be a little bit better than break even. Or I'm looking for a target, you know, maybe a little bit above 1570, maybe 1579, maybe 1580. And I may have gotten close on these candles. No, I'm still like 42 cents, 51 cents off. Anyway, we're reforming that squeeze. It's been a very volatile day on Amazon. Even this now, we're almost there, and then it pulls back up. So if it pulls back up to this level, okay, our stop is going to be maybe a hair above that one, because now we got another candle that keeps the 21 intact and a little bit lower on the down slope. But now these are starting to look a little bit more like relative lows. This one to this one to this one. This one pushed through, but now, you know, we're doing some things here. This indecision candle was a bullish one, bullish engulfing of the previous candle and bounce, didn't continue. We're retesting into that same range. That means whatever happened, you know, nobody was continuing to push it higher. So anyway, I keep moving forward, and it finally touches 1578 again. And now with these lower highs, and it actually makes sense if you draw the line out here to see, could we have anticipated some more? So if we draw this here by, it's kind of crazy when this works out a little too good sometimes. I'm going to line it up, taking a level that's pretty close to the highs of the bearish candles. Didn't quite get to there. This one, I prefer this candle and this candle. And then this candle comes right into it too. So these three bigger candles. This one, just the wick got it, but that still counts. And now this candle, I probably would have been thinking, okay, this candle is a selling candle. Get my stop above this candle. But, you know, it does continue into this one. Some indecision. You're done. You're done. You're rolling over. You're right there. Okay. You just have that support right there. Now, if you can take out the lows, because you have this low, this one similar, but you know, you've got this triangle pattern that could totally just continue breaking down. And what do? We do break down. We retest from below. I'd like to see a rollover again here. And it starts to take out the low, but starts to hold this level, even though we've taken out the low. This is a new low of the day over here. We took this low. And it's taken all day to get back to it. So the other things going on is we're getting into the last 45 minutes of the day. Actually, the last half hour of the day. And you know, we're retesting a little bit bigger. What's interesting now, it looks like this line. No, I don't want to do that. I want to select. That's not what I want to do. I can't see where the dot is for the line. Is this it? No, it wants to grab the wrong thing. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to move the line because I know I'm on the right angle if I just line up that line again. There we go. We're retesting into this line. Looks like we could be rolling down again. Let's see what we do for the end of the day. Start to roll over right at that level, and we just pause. So that's the close. So kind of uneventful close, but you know, the big, huge move was the open, and everything else in the day just paled to compare with that. This is the only thing that kind of squeezed these, broke down, came back up. You know, that you could have played maybe this one here down into a low here for, you know, a quick 2R, but nothing else that says, you know, maybe to the low of the day it's not even quite 2R. But, you know, this being a low, this being a lower low, they're really relative lows. You know, we really ended the day with this upper wick, or no, not an upper wick, because we started selling right away. Sorry, I was not thinking right. So it's not a flat top. Some people were buying up here. Some people were buying at all-time high after a bullish retest gap. So that would not be me. We've come down, bearish candle, retracing. Let's take a look back at, actually let's zoom back out on this. So, you know, zoomed out, you can see this is a nice triangle and it's just kind of melting lower. Nothing huge, just kind of melting lower. And let's take a look at the daily now. Let me move this over another candle, a couple more. You can see we're retesting very close into the top angle of this triangle. Could totally come right into here and bounce. Doesn't have to. Make an indecision candle right here, get in above, stop below. Could totally work. We have broken out of these triangles. So there could be some more bullishness, believe it or not. There could be. Now, because we sold off from an all-time high, I think it's pretty strong. You know, you got the volume spike there. Pretty strong that we're selling here. You know, you could potentially picture this as a bit of a distribution here. And it may just continue back down to this level or down to the 100 at this point as it's continuing to move a little bit higher. So, don't know what's going to happen. I guess we'll see. So coming back in here, selling was the way to go. You know, there were some things that were happening pre-market that said selling's the way to go on this. Here's the calls. Just totally losing their values. This is the 1600 call expired today. Totally lost its value. Maybe on some of the bullish moves, if you were ready to buy at the 1578 price, if you waited for the double bottom, hey, I can get in here and a stop here, ride that up. And that would have been, you know, move, you know, getting in on this candle, stop below over here and just rally up into looking for that next pivot, maybe this one, you know, just looking for some movement. And this, you know, it's all right. This down here, if you had bought for, you know, let's say $500 and a stop at, let's see, the low is 300. So, you know, maybe your risk is $300. So, you know, 500 by 200, something like that to get in there. This moved up. So what did I say we got in? 500. So this moved up to a high here of about 900. So that would not have even been 2R, maybe an hour and a half. We go over and look at the puts, and the 1600 put. So now that we know the range, you know, I was looking at the 1600 put. It came down to $220. Could have bought for a couple $100 and rallied all the way up to $3,000 had you held through this kind of move, pull back, this rally, and gotten out up here. I mean, it's not the you know, the $100 absolute zero price, but there's some things you can do with this. So I just want to see another option a little further away. The put. So this one you could have bought for, I was looking for $100. Pretty close though. Could have bought for 200, stop at 100, and it just rallied and could have gotten out at probably, maybe not would have gotten that wick, but maybe got out at 800, somewhere in here. These candles. So from 200 to 800 with a $100 risk, that's, you know, 6R. So plenty of places, even some of these consolidation candles breaking out. Another opportunity to get in down here that probably fizzled, maybe got stepped out. If you tried it again, it made a little bit more, maybe an R or two. Came back down, did it again, made a little bit more, comes back down. And, you know, you're on this option, 1575 put, you're actually coming back down into the low of the open on that. So this candle would have been great to buy. It's the first time we've actually come into the range, touched the low in the day. We actually have a low below $100, so you could have bought here, flipped it out for $7 here, here. Could have flipped it out for the high over here, so 550. So that would have been 4.5 hours on that trade, and then it just kind of sputters around into the close. Doesn't really get too much of a rally going. But we've put in kind of a base in this option of that opening price being a good low. So if it comes back down to that price, buy the put again, because that's what people are doing. So you match this up on the chart to see what's actually going on. So we've opened, we drop crazy quickly in the first 35 minutes here. 30 minutes, no, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes to get down that kind of move. Phenomenal. All right, but you can see how things line up for okay, people were selling down here and then people bought, and then there's not as many sellers there, and there was a couple here that then got bought up. And so this is a reversal on the put to say go get into calls, but your calls aren't moving that great. I guess let me take a look at the 1575 call. Let's see what that one looks like. So that's better, having a little bit more of a double bottom pattern. Maybe got in on this candle. Hopefully it didn't get stopped out, and then that moved up a couple of hours. Actually, no, I'm wow. Let me look at that again, because that's a huge move. Yeah. So had you waited for this retest of the neckline, or tweezer bottom, pulled back, great place to buy in here with the plan that it's going to hold. A huge range on that candle, stopped down here. This is a couple $100 for an hour. Maybe got stopped down on that one, but rallied up. Basically, if you're buying down at, where am I? 15, and it rallies up to 25. I mean, that's $1,000. If you risked 200, 300, 400, I mean, that's still more than 500. Not 500. What is I get in at 13, 12. So yeah, you're moving more than $1,000. So gotta wait for 3 months before we can trade another Amazon earnings. But there's a lot of things going on in here that we can learn from the chart, get familiar enough with how Amazon moves, and really study it to do well the next time. So hope this was helpful. This is Justin Amazon.